you turn somebody chanting the we, somebody promising jobs for all, while some renting gun to make other people ball, but somebody promising more police car, somebody going to take the country far, somebody putting all the bandits away. He said if they do the crime they're going to damn well pay, but somebody promising a human right, like somebody threatening to put out your light. The more full with little Trinidad boys, a bullet start to whine and put an end to the joy. Now the lion call for the mama to born, the Nike gone, the gold teeth pawn. You see they want the pocket full with blue silk. They want the statue drinking full cream milk. The little red silk is not their true friend. The blue one have two extra knots on the end, so a tag on the toe is now the ticket to hell. But look where we reach, well, and you're a madman born. As he spread out on the wall, he said, this is it, I've been hit. No time to give up, brother, no time to quit. A chant of a madman. In this tale from a strange land, it was the chant of a madman, Lord, give me my only salvation. I say the chant of a madman, in this tale from a strange land. Maybe the chant of the madman, Lord, is the only solution. I don't know. Why, oh, mama, oh, baby, anyway, you got somebody chanting the we, but for we and we go set you free. Somebody promising natural law, fly like a yogi, end all the war, seek inner peace, end all the pain. The same woman promising to go down again. Somebody promising to run all the bread. Somebody pushing a world-class head. Somebody clean out the weed well fast. Somebody cleaning out the weed well fast. But somebody letting the cocaine pass. 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 Somebody promised to abolish the tax. Somebody promising to give we the facts. Somebody promising to clean up this land. But in this clean land, rat killing man, we bright little youths going to waste. Somebody binge the smile on their face. Somebody take one love off the shelf. Then the one boys start to sell out themselves. Somebody going to end all this talk about race, but they can't tell me that with a straight face. Big people dying, the crime can't solve. A madman rant is my only resolve. I hear the madman ball as he lie here on the wall. We say, this is it. No time to give up, brother, no time to quit. A chant of a madman. In this tale from a strange land, it was the chant of a madman, Lord, the only salvation. I said the chant of a madman. In this tale from a strange land, maybe the chant of a madman, Lord, the only solution. I don't know. Oh, mama. Oh mama, oh na me de me de, oh na me de me de, oh na ma bi de me, oh ma bi de ba we go. In this tale from a strange land, it was the chant of a madman, Lord, give me my only salvation. I say the chant of a madman. In this tale from a strange land, maybe the chant of the madman, Lord, is the only solution. I don't know. Oh, Anyway, you got somebody chanting to we. But for we and we go set you free. Somebody promising natural law. Fly like a yogi, end all the war. See in the peace, end all the pain. The same woman promising to go down again. Somebody promising to run all the bread. Somebody pushing a world-class head. Somebody clean out the weed well fast. Somebody cleaning out the weed well fast. But somebody letting the cocaine pass. 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 Somebody promised to abolish the tax. Somebody promising to give we the facts. Somebody promising to clean up this land. But in this clean land, rat killing man, we bright little youths going to waste. Somebody binge the smile on their face. Somebody take one love off the shelf. Then the one boys start to sell out themselves. Somebody going to end all this talk about race. But they can't tell me that with a straight face. Big people dying, the crime can't solve. A madman rant is my only resolve. I hear the madman ball as he lie here on the we say, this is it, this is it, this is it. No time to give a brother, no time to quit. A chant of a madman in this tale from a strange land. It was the chant of a madman, Lord, the only salvation. I said the chant of a madman in this tale from a strange land. Maybe the chant of a madman, Lord, the only solution. I don't know.
And a very good evening to you, and welcome to Politics 101 Thursday night, Thursday evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the show tonight. Lincoln Lewis is expected to be here later on. But in the meantime, please, I welcome all of you. Please share the link. Please share the link as widely as you can, so that everyone is alerted that we are on tonight. David Rudder with the Madman Rant. We are going to be hearing a lot of David Rudder and the Madman Rant. Vote for we and we will set you free. Somebody making the cocaine pass. Good evening to all of you all over Guyana, Region 10, especially the people in the Linden area. Welcome to Politics 101. Welcome to all of you, Barbicians, where is East Berbice quarantine, West Berbice, where is down the river, Quarantine River, or Berbice River. A good evening to the people watching from Baracara, Maroon Country. We not staying on this plantation, we getting out. So when we say we Baracaraian, which means we ain't staying, we gone up in the hills, we gone up there, we gone down the river, and we ain't going back. Good evening to all of you. How about wonderful people on the east coast of Demerara, my part of Guyana? To all of you, Golden Grove, Anns Grove, Victoria, Mahika, and more. We got a lot of people from Enmore. A lot of people from Enmore watching. Enterprise, Lusignan, Buxton, of course. Buxton, good evening to you, Buxtonians. Harriet Hall, good night. Good night to you. It's good to see you. Karen Black, one of my favorite persons. Thank you, Karen, for your continued donations. Vibert White, Vibert, you owe me about 5 drinks, but Vibert. Vibert up there on the East Bank, Grove, Golden Grove. We got 3 Golden Grove, maybe more. Grove on the East Bank is one. We get Golden Grove on the East Coast, and we get one from West Coast Babies. Groves. When we talk about Golden Grove, we know very much about the one from on the East Coast. Beehive is in the house. Beehive, Ansgrove, Clombrook area. Still remember my geography. Good evening to all of you. Good evening to you, Augustus. Augustus, that's one of my names, David Samuel Augustus Hines. When you're born a certain time, Dr. Hines, you have work to do with the youngsters in Buxton. Yes, I agree with you, Augustus. I was down there in the Gulf when I was last in Guyana, and everything they tell Mohammed, they tell me. Everything they tell Mohammed, they tell me when I went down there in the Gulf. So, but I agree with you, Augustus. We have work to do in Buxton. Look, it's a wake-up call for all of us. We take our people for granted. We take our people for granted. When we're in power, we don't look after them as them. I want to make a distinction, because we look after everybody. The coalition government looked after everybody and there were some initiatives that were directed at particular communities. The RAID project was directed at Buxton and Ithaca and BV Triumph and Mocha. But generally, we don't do direct, like the PPP, with all its talk about inclusivity, the PPP direct things to their communities. And nothing is wrong with that. My problem with the PPP is you don't have to discriminate against the other community to direct things to your community. Our side has to learn the art of looking after everybody, but also looking after the individual groups. There are policies that work for everybody, whether you're Amerindian, Chinese, Portuguese, African, East Indian, they're general policies. But there are also policies that have to be directed at individual communities. And that's an art that we have to learn. And so we didn't do that well. And then we got into opposition. And our people who are in the limelight, the parliamentarians, the party leaders, again, they go out and you have to give Aubrey Norton that he walked the road since he became leader of the party. But prior to that, nobody walked the road. It's a sore point in Buxton that our previous leader, after we won in 2015, never went back to the line top. He would come into the village, and as they say, he would go to the roadside. There are some things. And so we cannot, and all of us are guilty of that. We cannot take our people for granted. I usually go down at the Gulf. When I'm in the country, I go down there 2-3 times and I chat with them boys. A lot of them chap down there I went to school with, and I was down at the Gulf. Then everything they're telling Mohammed, they tell me. So, I understand. But the fact of the matter, here is the victory for us there. The PPP expect them to say they're voting PPP. You all heard them say that. And the fact that they are entertaining Mohammed, it's partly a victory because, as I said, they were expected, according to the PPP, to go straight over to them and so on. So we've got work to do. You're right, Augustus, and that's the kind of work that I am always ready for. Because when I go to those communities to talk to those young men, I ain't going and talk to them in general terms. I go in and tell them, you see, you are black like me. And the condition you all are in is because you are black like me. Heart to heart talk. All right? Which I have to admit we don't do. Partly we don't do it because they've scared us into not talking to our people directly. You know? So I agree. And I'm glad Mohammed went there. And I'm glad the young men spoke out. And so we got work to do with them. And that work, I do that work. Right? And you know, once I get to Guyana in a couple of days, I'm hitting the ground, ready for that kind of work. Two friends in the house. Good evening to all of you. And I'm glad you all are keeping on top of things and seeing the response of our people. We have been saying it here night after night. You know, we've got to work with our people. And those who are telling us to not work with our people, to go and work with the constituency that is not our more likely or our natural constituency, are leading us down a rabbit hole. So we go in and look after somebody else cube and left we cube open. And I'm glad that Mohammed went and think that, you know. So, but yes, there is work to do. Good evening to all of you. The Madman Rant is what we came in with tonight. David Rudder, the Madman Rant. I got Jack the Vex today, and he tell me that I'm a madman. He said I is a madman. I need medical attention. Jack Dio. He said I is a madman. Well, I embrace the madman tag. Thank you, Barrett. I as a madman. As a madman. As a madman. I embrace the madman tag because, as David Rudder said, the rant of the madman is the only solution. So I embrace the madman tag. I embrace the madman tag.
Reflective of the confidence that they have that the PPP will win these elections overwhelmingly. Two, so I don't worry about little things like you see every week, the WPA coming out with some poll that says that the elections are going to be tight and the voting patterns would reflect the same racism of the past. The people like WPA and their 4 members don't matter. So again, similar to the Malcolm Harry Powell, a PNC member endorsing Norton, so too the WPA, which was part of APNU, has now become APNU plus WPA. They were part of APNU. So to show growth, you know, and their coalition now, they've switched from being APNU, a member of APNU, to APNU plus WPA. It's APNU plus 0 or plus 4. Now, 4 members, I mean. That is what it's done. It's like all so infantile, childish, stupid, and they think they can really dupe us, pull wool over our eyes as a population. You will think David Hines needs he needs help, medical help, with all the thing calling people lick bottom and everything else. He's mad, really crazy. I don't know if you could sue a man for calling you mad, but I take my chance with David Hines. But yeah, really, who pays attention? He and a couple of people there. So this is who is going to. They're not going to win the elections.
Good, good, good. Barrett, I won't sue you. You don't get frightened. I won't sue you. you call me a madman. I won't sue you. And tonight I won't abuse you. I won't abuse you tonight. Either. I won't sue you, and I won't abuse you. What I will do tonight, Barrett, is
vote for we and we will set you free. Anywhere you turn, somebody chanting the we. Somebody promising jobs for all, while some renting gun to make other people ball. But somebody promising more police car. Somebody going to take the country far. Somebody putting all the bandits away. He said, if they do the crime, they're going to damn well pay. But somebody promising a human right, while somebody threatening to put out your light. The more triple with little Trinidad boys, a bullet start to whine and put an end to the joy. Now the lion call for the mama to born, the Nike gone, the gold teeth pawn. You see, they want the pocket full with blue silk. They want the statue drinking full green milk. The little red silk is not their true friend. The blue one have to extra north on the end. So a tag on the toe is now the ticket to hell. But look where we reach, well, now you're a madman ball. As he spread out on the wall, he said, this is it, I've been hit. No time to give up, brother, no time to quit. A chant of a madman. In this tale from a strange land, it was the chant of a madman, Lord. Give me my only salvation. I say the chant of a madman. In this tale from a strange land, maybe the chant of the madman, Lord, is the only solution. I don't know. Why, oh, mama, go, anyway, you got somebody chanting to we. Vote for we and we go set you free. Somebody promising natural law. Fly like a yogi, end all the war. Seek inner peace, end all the pain. The same woman promising to go down again. Somebody promising to run all the bread. Somebody pushing a world-class head. Somebody clean out the weed well fast. Somebody cleaning out the weed well fast. But somebody letting the cocaine pass. 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 Somebody promised to abolish the tax. Somebody promising to kiwi the fat. Somebody promising to clean up this land. But in this clean land, rat killing man, we bright little youths going to waste. Somebody binge the smile on their face. Somebody take one love off the shelf. Then the one of boys start to sell out themselves. Somebody going to end all this talk about race. But they can't tell me that with a straight face. Big people dying, the crime can't solve. A madman rant is my only resolve. I hear the madman ball as he lie here on the way. What you say? This is it, I've been hit. No time to give up, brother, no time to quit. A chant of a madman in this tale from a strange land.
Somebody making the Lamborghini pass. Little 11-year-old children dying. The crime can't solve. The chant of this madman maybe is the only salvation. Somebody making the cocaine pass is not this madman. Somebody chopping down the weed well fast is not this madman. But the chant of this madman is the only salvation. Jack, you take that. Them boxing people call me and tell me, abuse you off. But I said, I'm going to show you a range tonight. I'm abusing you tonight. I'm taking the madman tag. I was mad because I called people liquors. And 5 minutes later, he called somebody in particular slack buckter. Who mad and who madder? If if the standard for madness is calling people liquor, well, you slack buckter, stupid, this, that. So Barrett, David rather answer you tonight for me. The chant of madmen like me is the only solution. Somebody making the Lamborghini pass. Somebody making the cocaine pass. It's not me. It's not me. Somebody chopping down the weed well fast. It's not me. The chant of this madman is the only salvation from that. Good evening to all of you. We're waiting on Lincoln. He's having some technical problems. He's having some technical problems. Good evening to all of you who got in touch with me after last night's program. All of you PNC members and supporters who got in touch with me for sounding the bell of the conspiracy to use the elections as a means of destroying the PNC and destroying the last symbol of African power that is remaining. As I said, other symbols of African power, whether it's the army, the police, trade unions, African organizations, they're gone. Africans' role in the economy, less than 10%. If the conspiracy to destroy the PPP is allowed to go through, the PNC, sorry, and the PNC is destroyed, it's the last vestige of symbolic African power, maybe actual African power that remains. So it is beyond the PNC, and it's really about what remains. So when you see some of our young people are turning their gaze outside of the African leadership, it's a sense of desperation on their part. Because when they look around, Africans don't control the economy. Africans in the army but don't control the army. Africans in the police but don't control the police. Africans in the public service but they're the lowest paid. African trade unions are being smashed. they lose confidence. But all is not lost, because we have to develop the kind of leadership that is going to restore confidence in our people. So our elections is not just about counting votes. These elections are not just about counting votes. In order to win an election, you got to count vote. So I'm not discounting that. But in the process of counting votes, it's about restoring confidence in African people. And I think the Amerindian leaders will say the same thing about the Amerindian community. So that is the message I was trying to get over last night. And it's easy, I mean, it's easy to say I don't like a leader. I assume there were people in the PNC in the Burnham days who didn't like Burnham. But they never destroyed the party because of their dislike for Burnham. I know a lot of them didn't like Height, but they never destroyed the party because they didn't like Height. A lot didn't like Corbyn or they didn't like Granger, but they never destroyed the party. But there is a cadre of PNC leaders. A lot of them knew. So they're not really grounded in the party, but they were given power. They have a problem with the leader. People have problems with their leaders. That's not me business, right? You all have problems with your leader, you all sort it out. I'm not getting into that. But if you are going to use your problem with the leader to then destroy the party, and in the not realizing that in the process of destroying the party, you're destroying the last pillar of symbolic black power in the country, then we have a serious problem. And that is the message I was trying to get over. Some Amanza supporters call me, and I think I may have mentioned the man's name. I was making the point that part of the dilemma that we are facing is that PNC leaders, whether it's Aubrey, Amanza, Ford, all of them, because of the nature of our politics, they can't say what I'm saying. Because to say what I'm saying, if you see the comments on Facebook today, the Africans are saying Dr. Hines is right. Somebody had to say it. And the Indians are saying Dr. Hines is a racist. That's the nature of our country. If you're Aubrey Norton or you're Amanza Walton, you don't want to be called racist. And I understand that, but therein lies the problem. Our leaders are imprisoned by the nature of our politics. And so they're not able to talk directly to their people. Which means that there is a disconnect between leadership and followership. Because we are talking through and past the followership. The Christian said, call me by my name. And we are not able to call our followers by their name. And that's where the problem is. And so, to the Amanza followers who thought that I was singling out Amanza, I wasn't singling out Amanza. I used her and Aubrey to say I sympathize with them. Because their party is being destroyed. There's a conspiracy to destroy it. And they're not able to say it in the way that it should be said. I am saying it, but I'm not PNC. I'm saying it because I know the consequences of the destruction of the PNC in this time, the consequences to Black people. Once the PNC is destroyed, then what are we left with? We are left with a growing consciousness among our people, but there's not an institutional home for the consciousness. Some people may suggest, well, Dr. Hines, if the PNC is destroyed, it's a chance for your party to rise. I don't think in that way. I don't think in that way. I think we all can coexist. PNC, WPA, AFC, the parties that tend to draw the support from the African community, I think we have to coexist. We don't have to destroy one another for want. We can coexist. Maybe there was a time, people have pointed out to me, yes, Dr. Hines, there was a time when the WPA wanted to get rid of the PNC. That is true. That was 50 years ago. But 50 years later, things have moved on. Things have changed. There is need for coexistence, not only among Africans, but coexistence among all of our ethnic groups. The pioneer of shared governance and shared existence is one of the co-founders of the WPA, Brother U.C. Kwayan in 1961, on behalf of the African Society for Racial Equality, an African organization. Brother U.C. came out with joint premiership, sharing of the office of premiership between the two major ethnic leaders. I still hold to that philosophy. We have to coexist as parties. We have to coexist as races, ethnic groups. If we are going to develop our country and live in harmony, at some point, Slack Bucked Jack Dio and Madman David Hines and wherever else you just call Nigel Hughes and Aubrey Norton, all of us got to sit down on the table. That time is fast coming. The very force of our people are driving us there. Jacques Dio and them are trying to resist it by trying to co-opt our people. And by co-opting some faces, then they're saying there's no need to bring our people together. So all you have to do is to get a few Black faces from the PNC, a few Indian faces from the PNC, and that is shared governance. And we are arguing, no, that's not shared governance. Shared governance are when the people for whom the masses vote for, they are the ones who have to come together around the table. Nobody voted for Daniel Searam. Daniel Searam benefited from African votes. They voted for the coalition, AFC, PNC, WPA, and the other minor parties. They didn't vote for Searam. Searam is a beneficiary. So when you co-opt Searam, you're not co-opting the leadership of the opposition. You are co-opting a beneficiary. And as I said, Brother Searam, Sister Gita, and others didn't have to work for the positions they held. The nature of our politics, if you're an African party, you have to have Indian faces. If you're an Indian party, you have to have African faces. That's called window dressing. Whether those faces represent something genuine in the party is another story. So we are at this critical stage. CRAM doesn't represent the vast majority of our voters. Sister Gita doesn't, and they know that. They know that. Brother Sandy doesn't represent the vast majority of our voters, and it is their right as individuals to choose their party. I have absolutely no problem with that. It is their right to choose which party they will associate with. But in the case of Sister Gita or Brother, Siram, you stand up still representing the mostly African voters, and you stand up in their name and say that you are going over to the people who they think are their torturers. That is the issue. It's not they're going over. And it is not whether the PPP is trying to win over a few leaders. They told us they were going to win over the masses of black people. Well, we know that is why he said there WPA is coming out with polls and saying that the elections are going to be close and the voting patterns are the same. They don't want to say that. They don't want us to say that, but that is true. The elections are going to be close. All elections have been close. All the elections from 1957 come right through have been close. So they now can parade the masses of black people. So they're parading some selective leaders. And that could have a psychological effect on our people, because when our people look at that, some of them may conclude that we can't win, that everybody is abandoning Norton. That is the effect they want. And so we have to come up with a different narrative. There is what you call form, and there is what you call content. There's what you call form, and there's what you call content. It is not the content of the base that is going over. It's a few. The people who had formal positions. And so that is the point that we are constantly making. We have a different position on the brother Muhammad. We are in an era of social media. Muhammad is a product of social media. And people are, especially the younger people who are in social media, people are fascinated with these social media personalities. Some of my younger friends, were telling me over the last week or so about all these fata, and I don't know some of these people who are on social media. Some of them are entertainers and so on. I don't know, but the young people know them. They're fascinated by those people. And they're singing some of the songs where Fata sing and this one sing and Lola Dahl and so on. I am now learning these things. And so Muhammad falls into that category of social media personalities. A man who can buy a car for 100,000 US dollars. I mean, people have always been fascinated with that type. And then the feeling that he's being persecuted by the government. Our people, especially African people, they tend to be revolted by people who are taken advantage of, because they know what it is to be taken advantage of. And so people are translating that to say Muhammad has all this support and so on. It happens when the WPA came out in the 1970s. I mean, there was a great fascination with Walter Rodney. Brilliant young African, brilliant young Guyanese, brilliant young West Indian. The government didn't give him a job, and the masses responded in a way. And he built a movement. He was killed. He was assassinated. We never got a chance to see whether those who embraced him, the multiracial masses, whether they would have voted for him had he lived. We will never know that. What we do know is that when his party contested the first free and fair elections, we ended up with 1 seat. So we can only go by history. People's fascination with personalities do not necessarily translate into votes. Maybe our political culture has changed. I don't think so. I don't think so. I am glad that Muhammad is going around, because he's affording our people a chance to vent. So it's not all negative. He's affording our people a chance to vent. And we, the leaders on our side, have to learn. When last our leaders make impromptu stops in the ghettos? We have to admit when we have faltered. And I am sure if Aubrey Norton go down in the Gulf in Buxton tomorrow at an impromptu, everything they tell Muhammad, they're going to tell you. If Ali go down there, they're going to tell you some things too. As Dr. Martin Luther King says about people who live in the conditions our people live in, they want to be heard. They want to be heard. They don't want to be heard only as a mass when we say Guyanese people. They know they're Guyanese. But they know that there are different groups of Guyanese. And they know which group they fall into. That was the genius of a Walter Rodney. He would go in those so-called ghettos And as he said, ground, his famous book, Grounding with My Brothers and Sisters. That is what our newer generation of politicians lack. The instinct to go on ground. But look at it another way. Brother Aubrey Norton goes in the ghetto, he goes in the hood. He goes to Bamba Mali. And what do? They use it against him. They use it against him. That is the dilemma we are dealing with. If our politicians go in the hood, go in the ghetto, go among the so-called scrapeheads, they are being branded. Muhammad can go in the hood. He will never be branded as the way they are branding Aubrey. The African cannot do some things in these post-plantation societies that other ethnic groups can do, or other people of a class can do. If Brother Nigel goes to Bam Bam Ali tomorrow, nobody's going to condemn him for it. People are going to say, good, Nigel, good. You're showing that you're a man of the people. If Burnham, as I think Aubrey may have pointed out, Burnham used to go in the market and there with them lady in the market, abusing off and selling in New Nation. People loved it. But Aubrey Norton and people like him come from a different class. And when they do the same thing, the society sees it differently. So it's really between a rock and a hard place. I think people like myself can get away with it. I mean, I hang out mostly in villages. I's not a tongue man. Me's not a tongue man. And when I in the villages, I hang out at the street corner. I drink, I take my beers at them little corner shop. The so-called rural Bamba Mali. That's where I am out. But you see, I do not lead a big party. And I do not have ambitions to become president. So they ain't worrying with me. Right? Aubrey was hanging out at Bamba Mali all the time. They weren't worrying with him. The minute he became leader, Bam Bam Ali, he should cut that out. I remember a middle class man called Brother Yussi in the 1950s a country boor. That was tough thing. And why you call him a country boor? Because allegedly he was a minister and he didn't move to Georgetown. He still lived in his mother's house in Buxton. And apparently used to stop at the road and pick up them lady who going downtown to sell their guinea and their banana and so on. And the middle class, the brown and black middle class, were scandalized by it. How can this man be doing that? First of all, I think the governor asked him, Mr. King, when are you moving to Georgetown? And they were scandalized that he would pick up them lady who selling guinea and so on and put in this government car. So what we are seeing with the Norton phenomenon is not just Norton's weaknesses, because he does have weaknesses. I do, all of us do. But it's more than that. It's a serious class examination and race examination that's going on in the society. The difference between Brother Nigel and Aubrey, or Brother Nigel and me, is that Brother Nigel's father came out of the ghetto earlier. And so Brother Nigel wasn't born in the ghetto. He wasn't born in the so-called ghetto. People like Aubrey Norton, myself, and Takuma Ugunse and so on, you know, we were born in the so-called ghetto. Sister Manza, all of us were born there. So that's the difference. And we are held to a different standard. And I know some of our people get caught up with it. I'm trying to think whether I ever wear a suit and tie. I don't think I ever. Maybe as a small boy. Maybe. I think as a little boy I may have worn a tie. I don't think it was a suit, it was shirt and tie. But can you imagine me with a suit and tie? I mean, I put on a blazer every now and again to feel a little cool and a little hip, you know. But that's as far as I can go. Suit and tie would look stupid on me. Even if I don't look stupid in it, it will look stupid on me. But I am sure that if I were to aspire to be president, they will put pressure on me to put on suit and tie. So the sociology of our society is something that is real. And I'm not saying this for us to dislike anybody. I'm just being real as to what we face. I often, and I may have told this here, years ago, I was part of a panel. I think Vincent Alexander was on the panel. This must have been the early 2000s. So it's more than 2 decades ago. There was a forum at the National Library. I think it was on power sharing, because power sharing was hot at that time. And I know Vincent was on the panel. I can't remember whoever else was on there. And my partner at the time, she was in the audience. And she was sitting behind one of the Ramsahoys. And another Indian activist, I won't call her name, but she was sitting behind them. And as I began to speak, apparently the Ramsahoy gentleman said, "My God, he speaks well." And later on in my presentation, the Indian lady said, "He's bright. He's bright." So when we were going home, my partner feel nice. She said, "I was sitting behind these people, and so-and-so said, you speak well." and the other one said, "You're bright." And so she feel nice. I said, "I hate to disappoint you." I said, the one who said that I speak well was really making the point that people like me were not expected to speak well. So we have to demonstrate to them that we could speak well. And the Indian woman who said that I'm bright didn't expect people like me, my color, the way I look, I've come from the country, expect me to be bright. And she was stunned. Later on, she recognized the dynamics of what I was explaining. And so there are the class and race dynamics in our country that determine people's behavior. And sometimes our people go along with it, Our people go along with it. There are people in the PPP who have, these are Africans in the PPP. They would tell me, "David, why are you so stupid? You want a car? Why you driving around with a little Ram or wherever I was driving at the time? You want a car? You get a car. And when I say no, I don't want a car, by the way, you're so stupid. You're going to end up just like your leader, referring to Guyana. You're going to end up without anything. You see how Guyana, he ain't get no riches. You're going to end up just so stupid. These are black people. In the PNC were telling me that. Because I said, I don't want a car. I am quite happy driving a little Ram. Because I have gone past that I am not defined by material things. Of course, why not have material things? We all want material things, but I don't want to be defined by it. And they cuss me and say, stupid like Guyana. So whereas the vast majority of people saw Guyana's austerity as a virtue, there are some people in the community who saw it as a curse and would tell the younger generation of Guyanites, you're stupid. So we have to understand these dynamics in our society when we are making some political choices, and to understand the background to a lot of what is going on. Some of us, understandably, we are innocent in some of the comments we make. And they don't really mean it. We are just being practical. Norton is not the man to lead. And a lot of people mean that in the sense that he doesn't strike them as leadership material. And I know the vast majority of people who are of that persuasion, they're just being genuine. People have told me that. I put up a post there, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, where somebody here in the audience say, Takumo Gunse is the quintessential revolutionary. Dr. Hines doesn't have that method, Dr. Hines will stop dance. And I put it up because I wasn't offended. I wasn't offended. People make these determinations. A lot of people think that I am a revolutionary. So if one or two or a small group say, well, I'm the real revolutionary, I'm not offended. Because I think some of these things, people express based on what they see and where they are. But some people, when they say those things, they mean more than just the words. They mean that you are not deserving. I mean, my family, because of social media, my old mother, 80 how much years old, 85, 86 years old, on Facebook now, and, she got to hear people calling me reptile, black monkey, and the things, mostly Indian people who call me those things on a daily basis. And she, my mother, sometimes I think she cries. My little American nieces and nephews don't understand the viciousness. I take it in stride because I understand the origins of it, which is one of my disappointments about the politics of today. I always grew up knowing that Africans were called dogs. You couldn't miss it. Maybe if you're in town, you may miss it. But if you're in the country, you know that Africans were always called dogs. I heard the big Mohammed with it. It instinctively comes out of their mouth. The big Mohammed, we call critic a dog. Ungrateful dog. Right? I understand. What is different now is that it's now not whispered. It's routinely used. Hungry belly dog, this dog. And I use Mr. Mohammed because I don't think Mr. Mohammed decide that I want to be racist. But dog comes out of our Indian Guyanese comrades' mouth like what? Like lard or butter from our hot frying pan. Similarly, you would hear Africans say, the only trustworthy Indian is a dead Indian. I grew up hearing those stereotypes on both sides. So I'm not saying it's only Indians. On both sides. But the way in which the Indian description of Africans, the stereotype, is allowed to slide by the PPP leadership and the Indian leadership. And then they use the law when African leadership says anything out of line about Indians. They use the law to prosecute them. Look at Baby Skello. They say, I support Baby Skello. I support Baby Skello. I don't listen to Baby Skello lyrics. That's not my thing. But Baby Skello is the state lock Baby Skello up, arrest Baby Skello for stereotypical language against Indians, but leave stereotypical Indian language against Africans alone. And don't even talk about Amerindians. In the parliament, it has been brought to my attention that they use Amerindian words to vilify Amerindian women in parliament, calling them prostitutes in Amerindian language. I grew up hearing about Bokam people. These are African description of Amerindians. Mixed people who are mixed between Amerindians and black. What they used to call Bofianda, Bovianda, I understand is the real term, and they say Bofianda, but there's also the derogatory term, Bokam people. Bok meaning stupid, and the African side of use people. So I'm saying all the ethnic groups, they use stereotypes against each other. But the way in which the stereotypes against Africans by our Indian comrades is being allowed to become normative is frightening. Because when those things take root, it's difficult to uproot them. And so I started off by saying, my family, my children, my mother, my nephews and nieces, they go online and they see these descriptions of their uncle or their father. And they say, what? And that is what drew my attention to it. And you go under those posts on Facebook, it's frightening. Wherever, if Africans come on this program and describe Indians in that way, and I see it, I will tell them not here. But the Indian leaders don't tell Indian people stop it. ERC don't tell Indian people stop it. So there are all kinds of things that, because our society is transitioning. There's what you call economic realignment, political realignment, because of oil. Once oil came, the society inevitably changes. And we have a realigning. Because the question today is who owns the oil? Who controls the oil, sorry. At independence, the question was who controls political power. The Indians lay claim on it by saying that they are the majority. And in a majoritarian system, they should control government. The Africans, leaders, so Indians, you already control the economy. And if you control the government too, that is total control. So they came up, the African leadership came up with means by which to capture African power, to hold the society in balance. Some of us Africans fought against it because we didn't feel that rigged elections in any circumstances was right. And in that sense, we were standing with Indians against Africans. Because the Africans in the PNC, they were making the point that Indians already control the economy. And if they get control of the politics, black people dead. And we have seen that come to pass now. Indians control the political government. They control the economy. And that gives them overall control of the country. And then, as the Transparency International say, the PPP has become captive of the economic elite and the political elite. And what they mean is the Indian economic elite and the Indian political elite, which leave Africans, the African elite has no control of the economy, no control of politics. And in the kind of society that we have, that's a recipe for trouble. That is what Guyana saw in 1961. And that is what he was trying to prevent. He's saying, you know, we can't have a country where one race, the elite of one race control everything. And he was right. Both the African elite and the Indian elite rejected joint premiership. And what happened? 61, 62, 63, 64, we slaughter each other. And the PPP has learned nothing from that. They are still today pursuing that total domination of the economy, total domination of the politics, and worse than that, they are beating Amerindians and Africans into joining them. That is the danger of our country. And I can tell you, my study of ethnic societies, and I have studied ethnic societies. I've taught ethnicity and politics for 20-odd years. It leads to ethnic conflict, inevitably. Look at the Middle East. The Israelis penchant for control of the politics and the economics of that area. Look at what it has led to. Daily slaughter of Palestinians. And if you're slaughtering people daily, they are going to fight back at some point, and the conflict goes on and on and on. I don't want that for my country. I do not want that. Guyana didn't want it for his country in 1961. I don't want it for my country, and so many of us do not want it. And we are fighting hard to level the playing field, and we are being called racist. A racist is one who fights for domination of the real racist. And let me make a point here. I don't know that Jack Dio is a racist. I can't know that. I've never heard Jack Dio says that I believe that Indians are superior to Africans. I've never heard Ali say it. I've never heard. The closest that anybody has come to that maybe is a Chatri man. But I don't know that the Chatri man is a racist. What I do know is that all of those persons are presided over a government whose policies have led to racism. Again, the policies may not start off as racist policies, but the consequence are racist. Again, I don't know that the PPP is racist. A party cannot be racist. A party is made up of several people, hundreds of people. Jack Dio said my party got 4. A party is made up of many people. Some may believe in racial domination, racial superiority, some may not. So you can't call a party racist. We do it, but it's wrong. I heard Ravi Dev said the PNC is racist. A man who is very educated, and I won't call him a madman, but he said the PNC is racist. And you speak to Indians, especially the rabid PPP Indians, and they tell you the PNC is racist, the WPA is racist, everything racist, 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 racist. How do you know I'm a racist? You can't peep in me head. The WPA, how can an organization be racist? A party can be racist. Racism arises out of policies that you use your power to institute your prejudices. And you don't institute it as an individual. You use the institutions that you have control over. That's what the PPP is doing. And it doesn't, I don't know, like I said. When we Africans are driving around and we see the police behind we hold on to the steering wheel very tightly. And we try not to even swerve. But in our nervousness, so most of the time we end up swerving. That police behind us may have no interest in us. They just happen to be behind us. But given our history of police behavior towards us, every time we see that police car behind us, we assume that that police is coming for us. What Bob Marley means when he said, every time we hear the crack of a whip, my blood runs cold. It is the institution of the police that gets us nervous, not the individual policeman. Because when that policeman goes home, he takes off his uniform, we pass him on the street, we don't even know he's a policeman. But once he puts on that police uniform, he drives fear in us. Again, Bob Marley, he called the police uniforms of brutality. And so our country is at this crossroads. We are the crossroads. And we have to have this discussion. I am so glad that Augustus pointed out that we have work to do in Buxton. I am glad. And I'm glad for Mohammed to go in there and repeat it. Because I think it's demonstrating to our leaders how far removed we are from our own sons and daughters. People call me from all over. They said, Dr. Hinds'Sight, we don't know that so many young people that's watch your program. There was a funeral there in Buxton a couple of weeks ago, and some of the young people, 21, 22-year-old boys were discussing some of the ideas, and people were shocked. Because in our discussion, they feel as though we are talking to them, for them, about them. And so they feel a liberty to repeat what we say. Unfortunately, if our electoral leaders were to do that, they would be in trouble. Sister Manza came on this program and she made some remarks, and they jumped on it immediately. Last night I said Daniel Siram and others were ungrateful, and a news outlet carried it today. The headline, Dr. Hines calls Daniel Siram an ingrate. Now, if you look up the meaning of ingrate, ingrate is an ungrateful person. What you think about the average person who may not know that an ingrate is an ungrateful person? They may think that I am calling Daniel Siram names. And the person who did that headline did it deliberately to make me look bad. You know? They didn't say Dr. Hines said Siram was ungrateful. You have to go in. They quoted me correctly. But the headline says, Dr. Hines calls Siram an ingrate. I have heard poor people use the word ingrate. When you put that out there, and part of the culture today is people don't read. For the most part, a lot of our people don't read they read the headline. And so that news outlet, which may be favorable to the PPP, I don't know, but that news outlet used that deliberately. People are reading that headline and may believe I'm calling this man a bad name. And that's what we have to deal with. The president will say the same thing. Jack, as I said, Jack Dio, say I'm a madman today because I call people lick bottom. And 5 minutes later, talking about some slack bokta from Bartica. So Jack Dio can use colorful language, David Hines can't. The other boy yesterday that referred to the people who are crossing over as rats went and cussed me. And he's now calling the same people rats. So there's a way in which some people can use. When Muhammad, the big Muhammad, call critics a dog and cuss you with the F word and all kind of things, in the court step, outside the court door, I am telling you, if David Hines or Aubrey Norton or Nigel Hughes were to do that on the court, they will arrest us. Mr. Muhammad on the court step, cuss bad word. And you know what the meaning is? Mr. Muhammad give critic a good Guyanese cussing. Nobody talk about ERC. Nobody talk about the police. If I were to do that, or Aubrey, or Amanza, or Nigel, or Terence Campbell, if any one of us were to do that, were to cuss anybody outside the court door, I am telling you, they will charge us for indecent language or whatever charge it is. But Mr. Mohammed did it and get away, and the media didn't say anything. The media say he give critics a good cuss out. That is the country we are living in, comrades. That is the country we are living in. And I am not complaining. All I'm saying is that when you all are going to the polls, you all take those things with you to the polls. This thing about your vote, you're voting for the best man and all those kinds of things that I hear some people are into. Our elections are not about the vote for the best man. You are voting to stop that kind of discrimination. Think about it. All of you all see the cussing out. But just think, can you think I could go and cuss out like that? Sevens, you're asking if it's Dennis. I call him. The media says a good cuss out. I am telling you, if I were to do it, or Norton or Nigel, it would be front page headline. Aubrey Norton cusses out critic in front of the court. That's the discrimination that we face in Guyana, comrades. There are different standards of different people. I hear an African cuss Norton, said Norton going to New York for drink. Do you know what you are doing? You are playing into the stereotype of the African. That all we do is drink rum and smoke weed every day. I have had students ask me, Dr. Is it true that in the Caribbean, you all just hang out on the beach and you all smoke good weed all the time? I've had students really seriously ask me that. The stereotype, and another black man run up in the face of Norton on the street and cuss it on stinking. And then another one said, Norton coming to New York to get drunk all the time. I don't know whether Norton drinks when he go to New York. That's not my business. That's Norton's personal business. But the fact that Africans in this age, when our people, all the stereotypes against our people, they are perpetuated in the name. And I think the brother, those who are cussing Norton, I think at a certain level I don't think they're being overly mischievous. I think they just don't like Norton politically and maybe personally. But when they express their dislike in that way, it has political and racial consequences. That's the point I am making. So Norton now can't drink. Norton can't drink. People tell me all the time that PPP leaders got sleeping and they drink and they cuss up. Somebody tell me one of them cuss up Jack the other day. And everybody sees that. You know, you don't see any Indian putting that on Facebook and so on. And like I said, the Africans who are doing it, I don't think they're being malicious. I think they're genuinely concerned because they hold their leaders to a certain standard. I don't think they're being, I don't think the man who cuss out Aubrey said, look, I'm going to be malicious today and cuss Aubrey out. or the one who say, we just come to New York and get drunk, I don't think he starts off by saying malicious. But the consequence of it is that you're playing into the stereotypes that are being used against Africans. And that is why I'm saying to African people, we got to catch ourselves. I'm not asking you all to condone badness. I'm not asking you all to condone badness. I remember, you growing up in Buxton, you get into Kwekwe, Nancy Story get bad word, you got cuss. Some of us are Guyana boys. Guyana don't cuss. You playing Kwekwe, and the Kwekwe say, teacher may say, clap your so and so on. And you're watching out of your eye because of Guyana there. And you say, Lord, I wonder what brother you see gonna say to yourself. But the Kwekwe, you watch out if you can. Teacher may say, clap your so and so on. And Guyana never one day rebuke us until we cuss up. Because he understood the context in which the expletive is being used. And so I am saying that sometimes we have to contextualize our critiques. Why are we banning our leaders from drinking? And other people's leaders can be drinking. And we be muzzling our leaders, they can't drink. So you become a leader, you can't drink no more. Sisters and brothers, as I said, we are in serious times, and we have to re-examine what is happening around us. And I'm campaigning here. I'm not, this is a campaign. I'm campaigning. Because we have to get it right. It is not just the ballots. It is not just a change of government that is on the line. It is also a change of the power structures in the society that are on the line. And Amerindians and Africans stand to be the biggest losers if things go a certain way. So when you're going out to cast that ballot, it's more than just a simple government change you're voting for. Ideally, I would like at the end of the election, whoever gets 50% and who gets 40 and who gets 2 and 3, each of us is represented in the halls of power. That is the ideal government for Guyana. So that our elections don't have winners and losers. Everybody is a winner, regardless of how many votes you have. Look at Suriname. They're not perfect, but look at the system they have. They're grappling with the question of racial division. Here in Guyana, we are denying it. Suriname has confronted it, acknowledged it. Now, when I acknowledge it, Jack Dior sits there and said, I need medical attention. Because I said, the voting patterns have not changed. The elections are going to be close. What he wants me to say is the voting patterns have changed. Black people going to vote for the Indian party. And when if I say Indians will vote for the Black party, he will say Amatu. So they're all denying that Indian people don't want to be governed by Black people. Everybody knows that. Black people don't want to be governed by Indians. They don't mind Indians being in their government, or they don't mind black people being in their government. Don't get me wrong. But they don't want to be governed by the Indian party if you're African, and Africans don't want to be governed by the Indian party. And we are denying it, while in Suriname they're acknowledging it. That is why they're making more progress than we have on race relations. We are denying it. And the frightening thing is that the PPP feels that the way to solve the ethnic problems is to imprison Africans. Politically, economically, psychologically. That's how they decide to solve the problem. Because they do not want to share power. Because share power, which means they'll have to share decision making, they'll have to share the wealth, and they don't want to share that. And so we have to get wise. We have to get wise and understand what is happening before our very eyes. You know, people say David is only concerned about Africans. What nonsense. How can I just be concerned about Africans in a multi-ethnic society where the safety of Africans is determined largely by how Indians see us, and the safety of Africans are determined largely by how we see Indians? We are wrapped up together. We are wrapped up together. David Hines is concerned about what is being done to Africans in the name of democracy. And if I were an Amerindian, I would be concerned about I am concerned about Amerindians. But Amerindians, I can't say I am speaking on behalf of Amerindians. That would be malicious of me. I can say I'm speaking on behalf of Africans. Even if some Africans would say, I don't speak for them, that's okay. It's my concern for Guyana that leads me to first be concerned for my home. If my home ain't right and my neighbor home right, we still ain't get it right. We still ain't get it right. Sisters and brothers, all of us have to be campaigners. All of us have to be fighters. All of us have to contribute in one way or the other. And I thank those of you who are using us as the vessel through which you are helping to fight this struggle. Thanks to Denise for your contribution, your monetary contribution. I am missing somebody else who sent in their monetary contribution. Thanks to Cheryl for reaching out to me last night. Thanks to Sister Natalie for reaching out to me, offering advice. And do not be afraid to reach out to him. I may not get to everything immediately. Thanks to all those who called me and prayed with me last night. The first person who catch me was Brother Quasi, who called me after last night's program and prayed with me. Sister Leela, who called me and prayed with me. Sister Jasmine from the Faithist Order, who called me and prayed with me. And these are people who said they recognize that the words that flowed from my mouth last night touch something spiritual, because they're arguing that our struggle is not just political and economic, it's also spiritual. And that as black people, black leaders, we don't talk about our spirituality. And that I speak about our spirituality. And those three and one brother. I call Brother Kwesi Ojinga's name because he's my friend, and I don't call the other sisters' name, the three sisters' name, because they didn't give me permission. But they called and prayed for me and prayed with me. And I say thanks. Because the spiritual is also important. And I'm glad, I am so glad that our people, so continue to reach out. As I said, you know, I may not always get back to people immediately. There's a brother from Suriname who sent me a song that I haven't had a chance yet to play. An artist, a Guyanese artist in Suriname. Brother, if you're listening, I will get to you. Brother Kwesi sent me some poems. He's writing 11 poems for Adriana. He has finished 8. He has sent them to me, and I intend to use them on the program. Sister Chevy, if you're on tonight, please send me stuff. And those of you who are artists and appreciate the fact that I weave in music and poetry and so on in my discourse, again, thanks. And please continue to pray for us, not just for me, but for the other leaders. Some of them are at the top of the ladder, the apex. And they may need more prayers than me. But all of us need your prayers. And I am not averse for being prayed for and prayed with. I always say, people who ask me if I believe in God, I say to them, that is not the material question. The material question is this: God believes in me. Even whether I believe in him is not the primary question, is that he believes in me. That given where I came from, given where I was born, given the circumstances, the origins, the fact that I have a voice today, it means that there is some force greater than me. And so if that force is God, then God believes in me. If that force is the ancestors have given me work to do. I rather suspect it's both God and the ancestors. And so we are moving along on this journey over the next 3 months, but the journey goes beyond the next 3 months. I may not always get it right. I may not always say the right words. You may not always agree with my reasoning. You may agree with my reasoning, but you may not agree with my conclusion. But I want you all to know one thing, that for me and for those in the political party that I have the honor of being a member, and for the wider coalition of parties on our side of the aisle, there's a commitment that goes beyond the person. I may offend some people by calling their names, but it's not the person. As I said, I met Sister Geeta Chandan on a picket line months after I rebuked her. And I explained to her that my rebuke had nothing to do with her as a person. And I still don't rebuke her as a person, but as a political activist who has made some political choices. I'm taking some political position. My objection is against the political positions that she has taken, not against her as a person. And that remain my politics. Brother Bob said, I not come to fight flesh and blood, but to fight wickedness in high and low places. I stand by that. Good night. Until tomorrow night. God bless. As they say, the Christians. May the ancestors continue to guide us as we move into the next phase. Query.